This episode of PPC Live, the podcast, is sponsored by AdSquire. AdSquire are a small team of passionate and focused legal marketers that do what it takes to get law firms spectacular results. With the landscape always changing, they stay on top of the trends and are first to find and use new strategies to accomplish this for their clients. And so if you're a law firm, you definitely want to give them a call. They've been they've been the first to get to serve a lawyer ad on ChatGPT. And we know that even with all like the fact that it's very new, you really want to be testing some of these new strategies very early. And yeah, the AdSquire team have got inside knowledge on how to do that and have started doing that for their clients already. So if you want to have your ads showing in ChatGPT and you're a law firm, they're the ones to contact. So please go to adsquire.com to find out how much they can help you. Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, the founder of PPC Live. And as usual, every week I go to speak to a different PPC expert about their biggest effort, but also how they turned things around and made it a triumph. We never leave things on a defeated note. This week I have the delight of speaking to Ana Kostic, who is a lovely Spanish lady. And yeah, she even does her intro herself because the one I found online were all in Spanish, and I was not going to start trying to butcher what she was saying or even try to get Google Translate, because you know how that can always be wrong. So yeah, we have Ana, who has got loads of years of experience, over 10 years experience, has her own agency now, talking about, a huge issue in terms of taking on a client and, trying to implement best practices, but how best practices is not always what you think best practices is, or how all best practices doesn't really apply. And some of them are even out of date. So yeah, let's go speak to Ana. Hello, Ana. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Hi, it's really exciting to be here. Very happy.
I'm so glad about this. This is and I know we've said this in the last episode, the power of community, but it was Jill Saskin Gales. We all know that name on this show now. That was like, hey, Anu, Anna's someone you should know. She could write for Search Engine Land or do some stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then it just so happened that like a few weeks later, we met in person at SMX Advanced and met at Performance, MCR in Manchester. And we've had some very great conversations. And I'm so excited to, show our industry what Anna's got to offer. And because, full disclosure, I do the whole for my guests, try to get their bio off LinkedIn. And then all of a sudden I realized Anna's bio is in Spanish. And I was like, I'm not going to trust Google Translate with trying to translate what her bio is. So I'm going to graciously hand it over to Ana for her to introduce herself to our lovely listeners.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to be here. And thanks to Jill for the introduction. And thank you for all the community work and the podcast and the information you put out there, because it's super helpful. I've been a long time lurker, so a big fan. And this is a good note to put myself a task to actually polish my LinkedIn in English, which would be a good reminder now, apparently. So introductions. My name is Ana Kostic. I'm based in Spain. I've been doing PPC for 17 years, mostly in agency work, and I have my own agency. We've been working for the last 12 years here in Spain. We're remote, but we're based in Spain. And we do digital marketing, performance-oriented. We do SEO and PPC, but it's all performance-oriented, lead and e-commerce.
Yeah, fantastic. That's amazing work. And have you spoken at any events? Might have people seen you at any conferences speaking?
I have spoken in Spain. I've been in the major conference here in Spain. It's called PPC Fest. It's a party.
Nice. Love it.
And a couple of podcasts and smaller events.
Yeah.
But not outside of Spain yet.
We'll work on that. I'm sure people are going to hear this episode and be like, oh my God, we need to get a book that lady for something. So let's hope that this is just the beginning of a fantastic, international tour speaking engagements. Lovely. Well, very, very lovely to have you on here, Ana. But also, before we get into our story about our mistake, can you share a fun fact with our audience as well?
Sure. Well, I spent right at the beginning of building our agency, I spent 3.5 years traveling around the world, and I had no home base whatsoever. I lived off of a suitcase and a backpack and my laptop. So that
Wow.
happened.
Okay. And what was this all in Spain? In
No, no,
different
no.
parts?
This was Europe and North America. And then I was going to go to South America, but then life and family and things happened and I came
Yeah.
back. But yeah,
Wow. And so for 3 years, you were pretty much just backpacking.
homeless.
Homeless. No, let's not call it homeless. You were
No,
being
I'm just
a
kidding. I'm
you're a
just kidding.
digital nomad. That's the term. That's the official term. You were being
That's the
nomading
official
around the
term. Yes.
world. And you were working, building your business. Which one was your favorite stop to have on that trip?
That's a tough one because I like pretty much everywhere is very cool. And I
Okay.
have like different criteria. For example,
Okay.
Greece was amazing.
There we go.
Greece
There we
was
go.
cool because Greece had beautiful nature. The food was amazing. The people were lovely. And then, of course, North America and Canada, we went to several national parks where the
Nice.
nature is
Yeah.
absolutely mind
Huge.
blowing.
Huge.
It's like living inside of like a Windows screensaver.
Wow. Oh,
It's so
wow.
pretty.
That is a good reference. We all know those screensavers that is just literally like, where is this? I've seen
Yeah.
some of those pictures. I'm going, is this a real place or just some like
Yeah.
magical picture that they've just put together? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So
So
amazing. So national parks in the US and Greece, especially for the food. And I mean, our second Greece, I've been to Athens and, it's one of those places where I'm like, why can't I live here? I want to live
yeah,
here.
we went for 2 weeks and stayed for 3 months. So
Wow, there we go. That's a big, yeah, the tourist attraction folks like the tourist head of tourism in Greece should have do an interview with you
yeah,
as to so what's to love about Greece. You know all the
everything.
answers. Yeah. Oh, amazing. I love that. Okay. As much as, people are thinking like maybe I should go on Skyscanner and book a trip. Before you do that, please stick with us to talk again about a mistake that Anna has gone through. And, these are where the biggest learnings are, as we've known. We've had several guests come on and shared so many amazing stories about, the things to avoid and being very brave and very honest about things that have gone wrong because online we all hear all the polished this is going well or this is my advice on what you should be doing, but you don't really know where that's coming from. So yeah, we're going to really get to the crux of where all the amazing advice you'll see Anna share on LinkedIn. You'll get to an insider look as to where that experience comes from her sharing the story she has for us today. So yeah, Anna, please take it away. What's the F up you'd like to share with us today?
Sure. I was going to start saying that this was back in the day when I was not just starting out in paid media, but I'd been at it for maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, where you know the platform, you know your craft, you know the best practices, and you get cocky. You're like, I know what I'm doing. I know my platform. I know Google Ads. I know Meta. Like this is what's working with my clients, and you get a little bit overconfident sometimes.
We do.
And life has a funny way of putting you in your place. Usually,
Yeah,
that's how it
humbling
goes.
you. It humbles you very quickly.
Yes. So we got a client, and it was the typical situation where you have like the structure was all messy, and you had all the keywords like different categories together in one ad group, and there was no much sense of the structure and no like category, subcategory, product. It was all mixed in there together. It was selling. It was fine. But it was a bit of a mess. And I was like, as a practitioner and as best practices go, you're like, no, well, we have to have category, subcategory, products, top sellers, different revenues, different margins. Like we have to put a professional structure into this because
Yeah.
that's what we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made all the sense in the world. Like,
yes.
of course.
Sounds good. What could go wrong? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're about to find out.
Yeah. But so what I did naively is say like, okay, we'll just stop everything and build a whole new structure and launch it and everything will be fine. Well, if anyone has ever done this, they know what happened next, which is traffic and sales dropped like 40%.
Wow. Okay.
For the first month.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was a quick learning curve.
Yeah.
Because even back then, it was not like today it would be much worse, but even back then,
yeah, was still
It's a
bad.
system that works on data and on
Yes.
learning, and it has like a historical knowledge of how the account works. And even if it's not perfect and not pretty, the system has kind of figured out like the keywords that sell, the ones that don't. And radical restructuring is theoretically good for the practitioner, but it's not a good idea for the business. And you have
Yes.
to take into account the business side. Like a business cannot afford to lose 40% of their traffic and their sales while your pretty structures is trying to learn like the new data. Like
Yeah.
that's not how it goes. It's not ideal.
No, it's not. So, like you said that it took like a month to figure. You said that you had the drop in a month. Like you must have seen a little bit of a drop in that first week, and were you just thinking, okay, 1 week of drop is fine, we'll pick it up? Like, how did that month go for you to then realize at what point where you're like, oh my God, that was a wrong decision?
It was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because you can excuse like a week or two of
Yeah.
changes. Like that's usually it's the learning phase. That's how it goes. It's fine. It will pick up. But even if it picks up, and it did eventually, but it took us like 2.5 months. It was not.
Wow.
Yeah.
It made it. Yeah. Yeah.
It did pick up, but like of course, in the meantime, you have 6 weeks where sales. I mean, they're not zero, but they're less
Very
than they
low.
were before. So there were forecasts. There's people depending on that. There's space salespeople depending on that. There's client depending on that. There's a whole business structure depending on those forecasts.
Yeah.
And like the lesson is you have to be a lot more careful about the business side, not just the
Yes.
platform side.
Yes. Yeah.
And it took a while, and it was emotionally draining and exhausting.
Yeah.
But you also learn to own your mistakes, and you have to also learn responsibility for other people's businesses, because it's not just data. It's not just KPIs.
Yeah. So what was that communication like? Like, how often did you have meetings with the clients to report performance?
It was weekly at that
It was a
point.
weekly. Okay.
Yeah, we had
So in the
weekly
first couple,
meetings.
yeah. So did they knew the restructure was about to happen? You proposed it to them
Oh, yeah.
and they were like, yeah, okay. They knew it was about to happen. And they were like, yep, go ahead. That sounds like a good idea. And then week one, when the stats dropped immediately, what was their reaction?
Well, again, it was like, well, it's normal.
Week
Like,
one, okay.
it's normal. We've restructured things. A lot of things have changed, but our CDRs should be better. Our traffic quality should be better. Our conversion rates should be better because like it's keyword, ad, landing page aligned,
Yes.
all the things, which is true. But then your CPCs are higher than they used to be, so you get less traffic. And the solution is, well, put more money in, but you're not selling as much. So it's a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's wrong in terms of tactical knowledge.
Yeah.
So you have your arguments.
Yeah.
But it's emotionally challenging. And you have to be patient and wait it out. Like luckily they were a consolidated business. Like they could absorb because they had more channels, and it was not their first like year in the business, and it evened out, and we ended up having good results, but that took 6 months.
Yeah.
So you also have to have a person on the other side who is willing to work with what they have, even if it's not ideal.
Yeah. So. Absolutely.
But it's tough. It's tough. It's not an easy conversation. And it's like, if you're younger and not as experienced, like I had trouble sleeping. It was not great.
No, yeah. You get that, everybody here who's been, brave enough to let us know like the thing that happened. You're the people that care. The people are literally like, yeah, I still remember that thing that happened. And, because you care about it, and it's not necessarily that you have like unhealthy relationship with work. It's just that you care that your client, trusted you with their budget, with their money, and, considered you the expert. It's what we ask for. There are plenty of stories of like bad client and, agency relationship, and the clients is just like, doing like if they're the ones that know best. And if a client goes, no, you know best. We'll leave it in your hands and you get it wrong. It's a
responsibility.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So like did you have a manager that you were working with or were you the senior person on it? How was the internal, was that learning curve for you? What was the support that you got internally, if any?
No, yes, I had a manager, my boss at the time. She was amazing. She had so much knowledge, and actually she taught me so many things, and she was really supportive.
Nice.
So she was always willing to like coach you and like guide you in terms of communication. She came to a couple of tense meetings
Yeah.
to just soften the blow, and you also I learned from her how to manage tense conversations. And she was also great because she was also like, this is your responsibility, of course, but I'm the senior manager here. So this is
Nice.
also my responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's not just
Yeah.
you in front of like the whole thing. We'll figure it out together. And we
Nice.
did. We also we discounted a part of the fee. So they would stay on a little bit longer until we fixed it. So
Yeah.
there was like a situation management from like the whole agency and my boss, which was great. You don't feel so alone. You feel supported.
Yeah, you know
So
what? Can we even like go into that a little bit more? You've already touched on, the effect of that, but like I do think like one thing I do like my guests to speak on is that if they were in a team and they had a manager, or if they were the manager, the importance of supporting someone through a mistake or making sure that they are not too scared to test stuff because, you're like, no, you're not. If you're the kind of person that goes, no, you're not allowed to make any mistakes kind of thing, people just get a little bit very nervous about things. So can you touch on again, like why it was important that your manager supported you through this when something went?
because you have the feeling that first of all you're learning. Like I was in a junior position. I mean, it was like 2-3 years. It was not super junior, but I was not senior either. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you have to learn, and you have to have the confidence from the team that you can be autonomous. Because if you're not autonomous, you'll never be able to fly solo, and we'll never be able to give you responsibility.
yeah,
So at some point you have to figure it out. So, and then there's the buffer. How much can you figure out on your own and how much you can be supervised? And also there's the fact that it's not, it's the work. It's not you. It's not you who are unable to do the work. It's not
yeah,
that you're not fit for this role. It's the nature of the work. And
yeah,
sometimes the work is tricky and you have to test things, and sometimes you make mistakes, but we have to have the tools to like, what's the next step? What's the plan? How are we going to fix this? Like, what's our proactivity in front of the situation? And for
yes,
that, you need confidence.
yeah,
Because if you have a structure that says you did it wrong, it's your fault, we're going to fire you. Like, what's like, you've spent 2 years training someone, and then you're going to rip them off their confidence in like 2 weeks. Like, it's not even proactive for the business.
no,
Like, not like from a personal point of view,
no,
I'm
I
super
agree.
grateful.
Yeah,
And also, you can also tell when someone, because now I manage the team, I've managed the team for many years. You can also tell when someone's really like worried about it and it's invested and wants to do better. And
yes,
they're taking accountability of the situation. And people who don't care, like if you don't care, then it's a different conversation. Like
sure,
if you're not able to own what's happening, it's a different conversation. But if you care, first, the nature of the work is as it is. And then we're all human. Like mistakes happen. Who hasn't changed the budget wrong, put a
yeah,
zero where it shouldn't go,
yeah,
or put a URL where it shouldn't go?
yeah,
I mean, it happens.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that is, and I love the fact that you say that actually it is down to like the business or your manager of a team or the head of department to have, like a mistake solution, like a mistake system of like, okay, something has gone wrong. What are the steps we're going to take? It doesn't need to be something that you let everybody know about and you speak about on a daily basis because you don't want to necessarily encourage mistakes, where you want to be like, you also want to be the manager that people know that if a mistake happens, I wouldn't just be like, oh, I'm on my own. Blame culture. That's another thing that we used to use, phrase that we used to use a lot, like that happens in agency, or unfortunately in the UK. Like, it's all about, okay, something's gone wrong to make the client happy. Who should we like blame for it and maybe fire, so that we're like, okay, we've sorted out the problem and you can be happy with us going forward. And I'm like, that is not a good system to happen. As you said, though, it depends on how the person who made the mistake is like. If they're visibly worried, if they do realize that, okay, I made a mistake, they were honest about it, they want to learn from it, they want to change, fair enough. If it's someone that it just seems like there's just so like, whatever, couldn't care less, and another mistake, yeah, deal with that in a different way. But yeah, people are going to make mistakes, and you need to find a way on how to ensure that you encourage them during those times and not just make them just feel bad about themselves. Yeah. Some very, very fair points that you've made there, Anna. So looking back as well, in terms of like, the account structure, if we were to take, and you've kind of touched on it, if you were to take those, like, think about those first few days before you started thinking of like, let's put a restructure together. Are there signs that you missed? What were the specific things you said that you missed in terms of maybe even like what performance was like, that if you had paid attention to them better, you wouldn't have that account structure change? You would have stopped in your track. What should people look out for before putting that account structure in place, so that you're like, okay, look out for those things that will help you make the decision?
Well, in this case, I would say it's more of like, I'm telling this, so it happened to me, don't let it happen to you, because there are no clear signs before you decide to change the structure, because you can only tell afterwards.
Yeah.
Once you've made the change. So it's more of a cautionary tale. Like,
yeah. Fair enough.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more of my way of thinking about it now is think about the business first. It's always the business first. And big changes, even nowadays, like big budget changes, big structure changes, big creative changes, mess up the algorithm.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going to do a change, which we have to at some point,
Sometimes,
we have to update things. Like, that's how it goes. Like, plan accordingly and do it phase the changes and do it parallel to the current structure. So it's not, you don't disrupt the whole system and you don't disrupt the business. Even if you have to duplicate things, and even if it's not ideal to have, like one campaign is cannibalizing another and it's not ideal, well, fine. It doesn't matter as long as the business keeps running. It's not, again, it's not Google Ads or Meta, the ones that have to lead on with your strategy. It's the business.
Yeah.
So now my priority is always for the business to be stable. And then we'll figure out around the stability of the business how to do the changes.
Absolutely. So start from ensuring, prioritize how we keep the business stable with these changes. Even if there's not going to be immediate growth, at least don't let there be a drop, like a 40% drop.
Exactly.
Stability is better. Stability, don't, because you know, at the end of the day, the growth will happen and we're trying to change something. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people just think that a change needs to mirror growth. There needs to be growth. There needs to be that spike in performance. And actually, sometimes the best thing to do is trying to maintain stability during your major change. And then when you figure out what the new structure should look like, then work on what growth should look like. So yeah, that's
exactly. We like it slow and boring. Like, that's the pace.
Yeah. That is a very different like perspective than what everybody else talks about, than what Google talks about. It's not about slow and steady. Everybody's all about, where is the growth? If you do this, you can get 40% growth, or you can get 30, this many more conversions. And actually, sometimes we just want to keep things stable is what's going to keep you with your client for much longer.
Yeah, actually 40% growths can happen, but they're like a one-off thing.
Yeah.
Or like 2 off things in 5 years. It's not realistic either. If you do your job well, and we all do our jobs well, like there's usually no infinite growth.
No.
I mean, sometimes different cases, but business live on, that's how I see it. Business live on stability. You have a period of growth and there are businesses who have money to grow, which is great. But then usually, even if you're growing, you're building on top of what's been working. So there's always a nucleus of what held the business together from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's, you have to trust that the core is working and you have your sales and.
Absolutely. So let's say somebody who has just done they've been working like yourself a couple of years in the business and they've just gone in and they felt like Superman or Superwoman and went like, oh yeah, I know this is what this client needs, a new structure, and they did it. And the performance has dropped. And they're a bit nervous and a bit scared now, like what the client is going to do. What's your advice to them?
Well, honestly, if it's just happened, I would actually go back and reactivate best performance, like past best performance. I would go back to those and I'd split the budget.
Okay.
And then you have to have an open communication all the time. Like all the time, like be honest and upfront with what's happening. Don't hide it. Like hiding the obvious, it's the worst strategy ever because it will just destroy confidence in the relationship. In my experience, it's a lot better to own the situation, explain it, but you have to have an action plan. Like you can't explain the situation and say, well, this is happening. We'll see what happens. It's like, no, like what's the action plan? The action plan is, okay, we're going to reactivate best performance. We're going to give that 50% of the budget. We'll keep it split 50-50, see what happens. We're going to try and maybe lower CPCs with maybe a different bid strategy or whatever, like new creatives in Meta. But you have to have an action plan and keep reporting. And if the client is nervous and calls you 3 times that week and wants to have 2 meetings and you have other things to do, well, it's part of the job. You have to be available.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to explain what's happening. So communication and honesty.
Yeah.
An action plan.
I like communication, honesty. And I like the fact of like, put that best practice, in the one that was the best performer from the previous structure, put that back live. Because I think that's another thing that, I love to give our listeners. What's the action? What's the thing to do? And people have said a lot about, honesty, make sure you're available. But that whole actually, set something back live that was paused before. And then you can even do that and take that to the client of like, we saw this, but because this was the best performer, we put that back live. And that it's always good to go back with a solution than oh my God, I just have this problem and we're still trying to figure something out. If you go with like, we saw this problem, we did this, and we'll be figuring it out, as we go on, that's always a better conversation to go back to a client with. I definitely feel. Is there now like a process? Did that lesson kind of change how you now do things in terms of, and what is it specifically that did change in terms of how you do things?
That changed so many things on so many layers. I changed completely how I view the accounts. I changed completely how I approach onboardings and like the first 3 months of a project.
Yeah.
And it actually got me head on to learning how a business works.
Yeah.
Like how a business works. What's the cash flow? What's the profit? What's the margin? Like what's the sales process? Like how do you, like what do I have to know about a business that is important for me to be part of their sales team? Because we forget that we are part of a sales team.
Yeah.
And a business needs revenue. And even before I started Restructure now, I asked them like, what's your cash flow? Like what's your buffer? How much time do you have? How much margins do you have to maybe lose a 10% of sales? Like what's the plan? And if they're like, oh, we're good, we've had a great year. But we want to have like next year, we want to have a bigger growth. So it's like, okay, we'll speed up the changes. We'll take a hit now to be able to build for the next quarter.
Yeah.
Or they're like, no, we're like, it's really tight. We don't want to disrupt anything. And it's like, okay, fine. Then the plan is 6 months. It's not 3. It's not 3, it's 6 months. We'll do it slowly. But you have to have a conversation about the business and what they can afford. Like what business wise, what's their plan?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it took, I
absolutely.
think it took my career like 2 steps
Fantastic.
ahead of where I was overall. If I
Yeah.
think about it, like in
Yeah.
retrospect.
That's a big thing. When I've been listening to you for like, over like close to half an hour that I've been chatting here. And I just love that, several conversations about our account structure have happened in previous episodes, but nobody has really emphasized as you have about how that has led to really those conversations with the business about, margins, cash flow, profits, those kind of things that really then informs. Because I think for me anyway, when I started paid search, it was very much, okay, just work within the platform. Well, I know my CPCs need to be low, my CPAs need to be low. I know we're always trying to get better conversion rate. And, we always talked in the jargon of our acronyms kind of
Yeah.
thing, not necessarily connecting it to a particular business outcome. We were just like, oh, as long as we prove paid search is doing well, yay, I can ask for more budget, blah, blah, blah. But actually, these kind of things in terms of what you change, when you change it, the tests that you implement. I also think another thing and that could really help inform people with everything that's going on right now. There's loads of changes. Google coming out with a different change every week, every month. There's a new API that I just wrote about just before this call, and to test things, one can just say that, oh yeah, you're supposed to get in there and test everything. And actually, there's also a rule of thought of like, actually, you can't test everything because it's so confusing. But how do you decide what to test? Brilliant advice you've just given us. Talk to the business. Figure out what their cash flow is. Figure out what their buffers are. Figure out what can go wrong and what can't go wrong. And when things, and I feel like these episodes, the listeners will be like, Anu, this is for you. This is not even for us. I'm the one that gets excited with all
Well,
this
that's the best
information.
way to do things when it's fun for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely so fun for me. And it just shows, and I like this. It shows how things have changed because that way of just sitting in your platform, it's a little bit too, because I'm the kind of person of like, for the business, know what different channels, don't stick in your silo. Don't just be like, oh, I look after Google, so I'm only going to focus as to what is happening in Google and what Google should do. Figure out what's happening in SEO and the meta ads and the different channels to see how they affect. And that's what knowing what the business is important for the business is all about, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's also super important to talk to the actual salespeople, like
Yeah.
have a conversation with the people who are talking to the clients,
Yeah.
because they can give you the exact pain points and words that the client is looking for and it's using for you to be able to sell, not to sell better, but for them to find you. Because I've had instances where a product is called, I don't know, I can't think of a name, but like a product is called a sneaker. Like you have a sneaker. Officially, this is a sneaker. But then the clients are looking for running shoes. Like this is a basic example. But
Yeah.
if I don't talk to the salespeople, I would never know that these are running shoes, not sneakers.
Yeah, no
Like
sneakers. Yeah.
I can't think of a better example.
No.
You know what
But
I
I
mean?
think your point, you're making your point clear. That makes sense. You need to understand from the salespeople what's the thing that drives the good conversions that actually closes the
There you
deal.
go.
And there's some of the terms that you use that, yeah, they drove a lead, but it drove a useless lead. And it came to the customer was someone that did not actually understand what it is that they're asking about. And it's literally about making sure you're showing for the right version of the term that actually leads to
Exactly.
those quality leads that a salesperson
Exactly.
can close. Yeah.
And also like people, like the general public will search for this,
Yeah.
but this is not what we're selling. We're selling a different thing. And then even you can use exact phrases that we've seen in call recordings. If you use the
Yeah.
exact wording in an ad, it converts so much better because people feel seen.
Yeah.
And you have to talk to the sales. Like you cannot, if you live in your platform, you lose so much information of what's happening. So it's always good. It's a good idea to talk to.
Definitely. Something that's very interesting, and sorry, we will get to talking about other people's mistakes. This is going to be a long episode, but it's a very useful episode. But like, I remember speaking to my sister once, who's a lawyer. There's nothing about digital marketing and search and everything. But at this point, I had known, I was in the field for several years now. And she's like, Anna, I'm looking for this thing. What should I search so that I make sure? And I'm like, I can't teach you how to search. I'm actually interested to see what you will search, for what you think. What's your default thought of what you should search for this thing that you're looking for? And that's what you do naturally should be the thing that informs what a business that is trying to sell you the thing you're looking for, what they should be bidding on, So that's actually
the other way around.
way it works.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Yes, we've gone to the stage where you've given us so much about that story. Thank you so much, Anna. But no, we're not gonna cut it short and not talk about other mistakes that you've made. But yeah, we'll leave that story behind. I usually end with what's one big point. But honestly, I think the biggest point there is know your business better, know the business of so that it really informs how you implement tests when you implement tests. So let's go into, you've got your agency, it sounds like things are going well, meaning that you've onboarded clients, gotten some accounts that have come from other agencies or maybe from other like maybe their in-house team. They're now doing it for them. What are some of your like biggest mistakes that you think that, oh my God, you can't believe that's still happening in 2026? Or maybe something that happens so often that you're like, how the heck is this happening so often? And you pick it up straight away.
Well, there are several. We have like the classic ones. This is like they're always been there, which is tracking, doing weird things, and people not knowing what they're tracking and tracking twice or three times. Like it's a mess. No one checked the tracking in 5 years. Like that's a standard one. Then there's the no one checked the search terms and like no negatives. Wow. And like cross keywords everywhere. That also happens a lot, which it shouldn't. Like it's 2026, but it still happens.
Wow.
And there's more subtle ones.
Okay.
And there's usually like not redistributing budget in terms of like business priorities.
Right.
Usually budget goes where conversions are. But nobody asked if those are the right conversions. What's the quality? What are the margins? If it's e-commerce, so it's like you have the number.
Yeah.
But there's no conversation. Again, there's no conversation after that.
Yeah.
So the budget is not reflecting the business goals.
Yeah.
That's a trickier one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have again, like I've seen like in the last 6 months, I've seen search campaigns where like display and search are still like together mashed. Like I've seen that recently, which is I don't know how, like I don't even know how
you missed that. How you still leave that? Every expert will tell you to make sure that those are two separate things, and that is an issue that I saw happening in 2008, and I saw that and. We learned the lesson back then. Make sure you separate the default settings of the display being turned on. Make sure you look out for that. So how that is still happening in 2026?
So like 4 months ago.
Wow. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's always things like those.
Yeah, there is. And how about AI? Looking about all the AI capabilities, even things like AI Max, Performance Max. What are some approaches that you've seen that you've gone, guys, that's not how you approach that. That's a mistake in how you're doing that.
We're talking about in-platform AI, right?
Yeah.
Or
Google
like
Ads.
okay.
Google Ads, yeah.
So I would say that I understand because there's a lot of confusion, and in terms of like there's a lot of information out there that it's put out there like. If you want to be in AI overviews or AI mode, or if you want to be seen, you have to use AI Max, P Max, or Roadmatch or whatever, which is fine. It's true. Like these are the rules. Okay, great. Like, but let's see how we can work with those rules and not apply them blindly just because I'm in a rush to be on AI. Yeah. Which is good to test, but then it's okay. What are our best practices? Like take 2 steps back. What are the best practices if it were any other campaign or any other strategy, you have to have your guardrails, you have to have your texts, you have to have your, in this case, your AI brief, your negatives, your URLs that you don't want to be placed with upon. So it's not, you don't rush into it. Apply the criteria for everything else first. Like, understand what you're doing, understand what the new rules are, and then test it, but test it with like 10% of your budget. Not like 40% of your budget. Let's do it again. Slowly, boring, steadily.
Yes, it's the way for the biggest learnings. It's better to be stable and to be steady going than for you to jump into something and there's a big drop. Yeah, absolutely. And this is also like, a new question that I started asking like in the past like few weeks, few months. Like, there are loads of, warnings against how we use AI, but is there a favorite AI capability that you use that you're like, oh yeah, this works for me, and yeah, you'd advise people to use this AI tool in Google Ads?
I'd say Performance Max is really good. I mean, it's taken a while, but now
it's taken a while. Yeah.
But now it works. I mean, you have to have a structure. You have to be coherent in your asset groups, in your campaigns, in your targets.
Yeah.
But it works and it delivers. So I wouldn't be afraid of, I'm not a control purist.
Yeah.
And I understand that you have to let go of certain level of control, but we're also in uncertain times, and we can't expect to show up in AI or LLMs or in the new way of people searching with a strict structure, because that's not how it works. So if you have to have a flexible structure, you have to embrace certain level of uncertainty, and you have to let go of certain level of control. I'm not saying that you should let the system learn on your own dime. You have to be cautious. But now Performance Max is working with the right setup. I would totally go for it. Even for leads, is working if you're able to feed the data back into the system and work it properly. It works. And I would say that for certain type of campaigns and businesses, the image creation inside Google Ads is gotten a lot better. Like, we can do seasonal ads, seasonal creatives with like the same image. We have the one image with the product or the service. And then you can do it like Christmassy or springy or like make it seasonal with the same exact creative. So you don't have to put extra work on the design team. And they can actually work with new creatives, not the same thing redesigned. For those kind of things, it's actually pretty good.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. Those are some things that people should look into. Like, I think some people have been posted about herring from their own, little nook, that people still think PMax is a black box. And you're like, no, it's not. With all the channel reporting and the different controls that you have now and information you can put in. Yeah. If you're just doing the whole, PMax is a black box, I feel that can be a bit of like a lazy excuse that you're giving yourself to not even try it. And go back to those things that didn't work, let's say 6 months ago or 9 months ago, try it again, because PMax has changed a lot.
And I think that in certain businesses, like certain verticals, you are going to end up like being behind because like the competitors are probably starting to use it. And you're losing flexibility. So you might lose impressions and you might lose share of the market if you're not willing to retest certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. Go back to those testing boards. Go back to those things that didn't work before. Try them again. Ana, this has been such a great chat. At the beginning of the episodes, I'm like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. Like, never know. And it just ended up being such a brilliant conversation that, you saw that I had a lot of passion in there, especially when we're talking about the business angle. And I think that's a big takeaway that people really, really should have. So thanks for that. So one last question before we give you your time back. Yeah, what if your PPC career were a movie? What would the title be?
The first movie that came to mind was Big with Tom Hanks.
Yes, love that movie.
Because I was really young when I started. So I was young and I was like getting into this whole world of like clicks and tracking and real-time data and
Yeah,
conversions and
yeah,
testing out like texts and seeing how people reacted to that.
yeah,
That it felt a lot more like a game and like, let's see what's happening here.
yeah, yeah.
And it was so fun until one day it actually became like a career, which was
Serious,
like,
yeah.
okay, so now I do
Serious
this.
now.
Okay.
Love it.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Big with Tom Hanks. Love that movie. My brain was like, oh, I know exactly which one she's talking about. That's fantastic. Well, where can people find you if they want to hear about, some of your musings and the things that you're planning for your future?
Sure. Mostly LinkedIn. It's in Spanish. I will update it. Promise. But mostly LinkedIn, Ana Kostic. LinkedIn, Ana Kostic, Google Ads, PPC. I'll probably pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share the links of all of that on
Great.
in our show notes so that people can directly get to that. And also, since PPC Live is all about events, and I know we've seen each other at a couple this year already. Do you have any plans for any other events before the end of the year, or when
I
next are you?
do. I have several.
Okay.
I would need to check my calendar, but there's AdWorld in Italy.
Yes, in Italy. Yeah, Gianpaolo. Yes, that's a
Yeah,
great
and
one for those who
there's
don't go
our
in.
yeah, exactly. And then there's our PPC Fest here in Spain. It's at the
Nice.
end of October.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but those two for sure.
Thank you so much, Anna. I really appreciate you sharing your story and giving so many fantastic advice for our listeners that I'm sure they'll find very useful. But yeah, for now, thanks so much for that. And I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
My pleasure. How are you saying? Bye. Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing that very honest and transparent experience. And yeah, remember, business objectives, business goals, what the revenue is going to be, what communicating with the sales team is really one of the most important, if not the most important thing in terms of what will actually affect what you should do, what you should test, what you should implement in terms of, your paid search strategy and how it runs. So yeah, for the full information and the full transcript of that fantastic show and not just the show notes, please go to podcast.ppc.live to get all the details of that talk. So yeah, about PPC live events. Yeah, we are, as you're listening to this on Wednesday around 5:30, we are at Liverpool Street right now having a fantastic event with our speakers, Scott Caruthers, Harriet Fitzgerald, Charlotte Osborne, and Veronica Holler, who are talking about, AI and how it's the future, how the future really pretty much is here in terms of implementing Claude into your system, DSA going away, what you really need to be considering with the fact that it's going to be, like migrated into AI Max, and yeah, just different, point of view about programmatic and the ways that we're working in 2026 and how we should be working 2027. Yeah, sorry you've missed it, but put October 22nd in your calendar. You're the first one to get the save the date for our next day. So yeah, if you missed it, I'm sorry. If you didn't, I'm so glad you were able to join us. And but either way, join us in October 22nd for our last event of 2026, which I know will be another fantastic gathering. So yeah, and before I leave you, I'm delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients. So go to the marketing Anu for that, or go to ppc.live as well for tickets, as well as to get to the link for coaching. Yeah, and it's just to speak about to help you with building your confidence, to get that promotion, to get that pay rise, to go for that job that you're not sure they're qualified for. Let's have a chat. Yeah, when you get on the marketinganu.com site, yeah, look for the, book a one-to-one, discovery call with me, which will be 15 minutes free of charge to discuss what your specific needs are. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the show this week, and I look forward to bringing more PPC efforts and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.